This will shock some people. Genesis tells the story of cargo cults. This will shock most everyone. Genesis tells the story of Eve awakening first to this truth. Deep in Peter Levenda's research journal for Gods, Man and War, we find an entry unique unto itself. Mad Max post-apocalyptic scenario as reverse alter ego of Cargo Cult. The remainder of this page is blank. In Mad Max Fury Road, Immortan Joe has set himself up as a god who promises redemption and a glorious afterlife on the roads to Vallhalla itself for serving him faithfully with your life. Immortan being an allusion towards his immortal and deified status. Immortan Joe is a little g god, and the Warboys are his disciples.
Once again, we send off my war rig to bring back gasoline from Gastown and bullets from the bullet farm. Once again, I salute my Imperator Furiosa, and I salute my half-life Warboys, who will ride with me eternal on the highways of Vallhalla.
Welcome to the Sons of God and a post-Venus Cataclysm Earth. The story that emerges in antiquity is the Immortan Joe story. Groups of Atlantean survivors of the decimation were scattered around the world and used their technological advantages to pass themselves off as the Sons of God, demanding service and sacrifice from the local indigenous population. This is not a religious statement. This is an historical statement. The claim by Christ that he is the one true Son of God means his visit here was to clear things up for folks. Indeed, Gods makes a very clear statement on Christ. Another advanced consciousness, a God, finally came to walk on the earth and among men, and we crucified him. Egypt and Mesopotamia represent other such settlements, as do the Aztec settlements in Central and South America. Gods is also clear that the most likely location for the lost continent of Atlantis is in the area around the Philippines, based on the work of Stephen Oppenheimer's Eden in the East. A scattering from here would make far more sense. The survivors hid the true location by pointing to the Atlantic, which didn't exist until after the Venus Cataclysm, as I lay out in Cataclysm Part 5, Creating the Oceans Through Cataclysm. The longevity of this other species is seen in the Sumerian king list. There were 8 kings in Mesopotamia during the 6,000 years between the Venus Cataclysm and the Utamapishtim flood. Again, these were little g gods. They lived for many centuries or possibly even thousands of years with the aid of the pyramids' resurrection or healing function. However, on a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0. This was true for the little g sons of God, who also eventually ran out of genetic breeding stock and began to mingle with the daughters of men. The genes of the little g gods are still with us today. These little g sons of God brought the records of their history, which is how Solon comes across the tale for Plato. The beings eventually die off, but the record is kept by the priesthood and passed on as sacred knowledge. Chan Thomas suggests in the Adam and Eve story that these original tales were recorded by the Nage, a race of semi-divine beings according to Hindu mythology in their hieroglyphs. The narrative would then be one of little g gods visiting the Garden of Eden and explain why a god that is supposed to be omnipotent asks so many questions. Where are you? Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from? What is this you have done? This god then goes on to curse Adam and Eve and all of their descendants. This God does not sound omnipotent, nor does he sound much like love, which is why Christ's message is a God of love, a different God than these little g asshats who instituted a system of slavery humans still employ today. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Peace.